¿Cómo andamos? How we doing? It's a little dark in here, I'm not gonna lie. Let's adjust this like that. That's fine. Hope everyone's doing well. Man, I'm so grateful for the support. The video did better than I thought it would. Not gonna lie, I was a little cocky, a little confident. I'm like, all right, 10K will be good, we'll be solid. That was the goal. We're slowly approaching 20, which is nice. I say we're halfway there. So thank you all so much, especially if you're new around these parts. Don't be scared, homies. Get in the chat. I missed both prods. Did I? That's hilarious if I did. Let's see. The dyslexia, especially when I'm like Russian. So I was gonna add this to the title of the stream, but it was I did. It's AU. Yeah, it's AUD. That's hilarious. God damn it. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'll fix it. For those of you that don't know, I have dyslexia like a mother. It is what it is. Shout out to Nick at Night, George Lopez show, where found out what dyslexia really was. That was interesting. I'll fix that later. That's hilarious. But again, my gratitude, my appreciation for all the support for the video. If you commented, if you liked it, if you subscribed because of it, if you shared it, please share it. It means a lot. Just the growth of the channel from that video alone really allowed me to assess the larger goal of this channel, of this project. For those of you that don't know, I started this because I got frustrated with the normalization of liberal Zionism on the left, on the so-called left, right? Whatever left means. Mainly with Marianne Williamson's book tour, aka presidential run. Individuals like Hasan Piker, the Vanguard, Zach and Gavin, Kyle KKK Kalinske, Crystal Ball. All these individuals were normalizing liberal Zionism to an outrageous extent. And so I started streaming because of that prior to October 7th, Operation Alaska Flood. After that, you see the normalization of liberal Zionism to the point of painting them as the good guys, as our allies and allies of Palestinians and decolonization abroad. So with that in mind, you saw individuals like the Majority Report, who I think objectively speaking has the most credibility and is the go-to political commentators of anyone, in the Democratic Party, the left of the Democratic Party flank, right? Anyone that considers themselves a left-wing Democrat, a democratic socialist, a socialist, feels confident in tuning into the Majority Report. And we saw how Sam Cedar was unwilling to even embrace calling himself an anti-Zionist. And so you saw Emma Vigeland saying that the Zionist entity had the right to exist, and then crying and saying that witnessing a genocide has changed her brain chemistry, only to reveal that she was going to a Zionist therapist. You saw things like that. You saw things like Hasan Piker pretend to cry on stream while in business with the Zionist family. Ethan Klein, who still had his Zionist citizenship. You saw who his wife was, Gila Klein, who was in the IOF, a proud member of that, has a clothing line called Teddy Fresh. That's IOF Fresh over here. And Hasan Piker was rocking that, wearing it during their business venture. So it just disgusted me how normalized liberal Zionism had become, again, on the so-called left. And so with that frustration, I'm like, you know what? Let me just start a channel. and let me just stream and run my mouth. And it's a lot of fun. I went from going 2 hours to 4 hours, which is the sweet spot. And then sometimes when the chat encourages me and distracts me, we'll do like 7 hours. And I've been very vocal about not feeling comfortable with that, almost jokingly saying that I was like disgusted with myself for doing like a 7 hour stream. And I do mean that. They're fun, don't get me wrong. They're a lot of fun. The chat is hilarious. It's just not overall fulfilling. It really isn't. After those 7 hours, I don't want to look at a screen. I just don't want to do the things that would require me to make edited videos. I want to step away. The kids say touch grass and whatnot. That's what I want to do. So, first of all, again, I have like the notes over here, or the loose script that I was writing for that video, and seeing the reception that I got, and then going back and seeing the reception for Latinos in the N-word, a little bit on the Superman one, not so much on the Mark Maron one. That was me just being petty. I can admit that. But all those videos did better than any of the live streams. And I was like, man, it's more fulfilling to sit down, break things down, write it out, edit. All that stuff is more fulfilling than the live streams. And when I ever conceptualized about starting a channel, it was heavily inspired by Hip Hop DX, Justin Hunt, right? The Company Man. That's who I was looking towards. I'm like, damn, I really like the way that he presents his ideas, and it's a very, he never really did it in a way like, this is the truth. It was like, hey, this is where I'm coming from. This is what I'm seeing. I don't got the answers. That's how he would end all the video breakdowns. And to me, it was like, damn, what a humble approach when everything is glorified online, to present your opinion as a fact, right? And so I wanted to replicate that. But out of my frustration of seeing liberal Zionism be normalized, I was like, we're not writing anything down. We're just running my mouth. And I'm great at talking shit. I really am. Being in this online space and even interacting with people, I've realized that a lot of these people grow up very nurtured, and I don't know, like, I was fortunate to leave the barrio, the ghetto, or else I don't think I would be here. At least not like this. But I still kind of was around in a working class environment where you had to talk shit. You had to talk shit. You had to learn how to talk shit and how to take it and flip it and boom and all that stuff. And I pride myself in it. And I say that to be like, well, this is fun. To live stream, it's fun. But it's very time consuming. And I noticed that I really haven't been investing as much time in my union organizing. I haven't really been investing a lot of time in the volunteer work that I was doing with kids in immigration, which again is always important, but now more so than ever. I haven't been investing time in things that are on the ground and are local and organizing related. I've mentioned before how I was part of a small political organization and that kind of disbanded and fell apart, and that I listened to the words of Kwame Ture that you have to be part of a political organization. Sure, we don't have a vanguard movement, but something, right? That's why I don't judge people for joining the DSA. If that's the best you got around you, join them, learn, make comrades, hopefully, try and make mistakes there so that you could be a better organizer in a real vanguard movement someday. But I'm not really practicing what I preach in that aspect of it, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. So with that being said, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to invest more time in the edited videos, and I'm going to cut down on the live streams. where it's gonna be 2 hours max, and hopefully still Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. But I'm seeing the response to the edited videos, which I'm grateful for, but also thinking about the lifespan of a live stream versus an edited video. The live streams, especially if we're doing like 4 to 6 hours, that's overwhelming. Even if I edit things down and post it on the other channel, which I will still focus on doing. So with all that in mind, I'm like, all right, let me invest more time in this, the edited stuff, which will allow me to have more time to do real world shit. I'm very excited for a teaching on tomorrow that I'll be doing, which I've been very eager to be a part of, but because of proximity, especially now without a vehicle, I'm very grateful that they happen to come around this area. So I'm excited for that tomorrow. I'll be doing an interview on some like Chicano stuff tomorrow as well. Shout out to Pancho. I appreciate you. I saw you, brother. Thank you so much. That means the world to me that you assigned that. That's hilarious. I'm beyond flattered and humbled. And there is that aspect of a responsibility as well that I'm not taking lightly. I joked around with FD about this, and I know I'm rambling a lot, but I've been meaning to just share my thoughts and where I'm at right now. I jokingly said, like, yo, like, I'm not here to be a Latino representative. I'm not here to be a Chicano voice. I'm not here to be Mexican American speaker. I'm not here for any of that.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got problems?
Emblem Faith, I'll try to squeeze that in tomorrow. But it's just not in the docket today. And that's, again, well, before I get distracted, and thank you for the super chat. But it's kind of working out that way. And I continue seeing comments of like, oh, like about time there's a like Latino, brown voice, this and that. I see a lot of the Chicano nationalists, a lot of the Mexican nationalist BS that I immediately cut off because y'all know that I don't fuck around with that shit. But if that's who I am and that's the perspective I'm bringing, then, and if I could kind of cut off some of the more reactionary, some of the more nationalism in the negative aspect, the bastardized aspect, because whoever pops up, I'm going to tell you right now, whoever pops up and has the Mexican flag behind them, has, you know, I'm blanking on the farmers union. It's not UAF. But anyways, the flag with the black eagle. Let's see. This one. Why am I forgetting? Okay, yeah. La causa. When, and this is gonna happen, when, you know, somebody pops up with this behind them, a Mexican flag behind them, their channel is gonna just skyrocket. And you kind of saw that a little bit with Anti-Conquista. Fuck those fools. I'd already been told that they were grimy, that they were weirdos. The fact that they were unwilling to talk about the Zionist influence and presence at the Super Bowl, to the point that they blocked me because all I said, hey, just what is your position on the normalization of liberal Zionism, having Lady Gaga there and something that you're celebrating? Kept asking, they kept dodging, kept asking, they kept dodging. They blocked me. It is what it is. It's cool. It's the cliche, not all, you know, skin folk or kinfolk or whatnot. That's why I don't fuck with these individuals that lead with their identity above all, above principle. And I told them, like, hey, homie, like, we all enjoy liberal, you know, propaganda. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. I'm not here to be judgmental. I'm just, let's be principled and consistent when we're having these conversations. And it was really unfortunate too, because there was this fool named Ramiro, and he had his own channel, but he was in collaboration with Anticonquista, and I really appreciated his breakdowns and his videos. He's somebody that, like, when I tell you that I didn't want to do this, I mean that I did not want to do this. I'd rather be doing organizing on the ground work and not be known. I'm just being honest. I don't like this kind of weird responsibility, but I'm like, fuck it. I've always been a loud motherfucker. No sicon. Let's go for it. But when I was, would watch Ramiro's videos, it was very, very what's the word? Like, it took off whatever calling there was for me to do this and share my opinion, because I was like, all right, homie's got it. We may not agree on everything, but he's breaking it down. He's brown and he's down, all these things, right? So I was like, all right, cool. And then that would kind of dip. And I didn't really see that. And I didn't really see a voice from, like, our perspective. And so here I am, right? The next video that I want to work on is Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez 2028 run. And I was like, damn, bro, like, it's going to look like I'm coming after the Boricuas, right? Which is not my intention whatsoever. It really isn't. It really isn't. It just happens to be that way. And I'm really excited for this video because that's somebody who I've been concerned about for a while. I'm really excited for that video because I'm going to be able to implement Glenn Ford in that breakdown. And y'all saw that conversation I had with Dr. Ball, the first one. Check out I Makes What I Like, where he edited out the highlights of it, talking about Obama being the more effective evil. I truly believe that and I don't think she's going to win. In fact, I doubt she'll run after that Munich incident, and we'll go over it. I truly believe that if Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, wins the Democratic Party nomination and she wins the presidency, that is the end of any socialist, communist, anarchist, whatever embers remain is done for. It's gone. There is it's gonna be a highway to barbarism, and it legitimately frightens me the way that liberals talk about Donald Trump. An AOC presidency frightens me. It terrifies me because there's so much evidence, which I will break down in the video, of how she will be complicit with empire and how we'll get ignored and get a pass, that it legitimately sends, like, shivers down my spine. Again, I joked around with Dr. Ball about Kamala Harris would have been allowed to do virtually anything for being a black woman in that position. But in that sense, blackness would play a double-edged sword, because, and we saw with Obama, they can still uphold empire to every degree, but they're still black, right? And so they're still going to get criticized ruthlessly. You're going to see that in terms of misogyny. But I'm telling you, there's always been this kind of weird gray area that brown people, especially English-speaking brown people, have occupied in America, where, hey, we're not black, so we're not gonna ruin your neighborhoods in the way that these racists think. Hey, we're very Catholic, we're very Christian, we're very family hey, we'll be quiet, we'll keep our heads down, and we'll just work hard. We won't get in your way. We won't ask for too much. We'll be quiet. We'll take what we can, what we're given. And then very so often, we'll organize and fight. And it's going to happen. I'm going to make a video on Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez was saying mojado this, mojado that. Cesar Chavez was calling border patrol on workers. Oh, they were scabs, they were this and that. Educate them, bring them into the fold. That's why we need to be internationalists. So because she for sure will get criticized for being, you know, a woman, the misogyny is going to be there, but she's brown and she's light enough to where it's all right, it's comfortable. You won't see the same type of fervor that you did for even someone like Obama for simply being black. I mean, they were losing their minds over fucking a tux, a beige tux, right? Things like that. You're not going to see it to the same level and extent because xenophobia in terms of the land community, brown people, it's never reached the level of anti-blackness, especially because there are black Latinos, especially because there are, you know, illegal, undocumented, whatever they want to fucking throw at us, black people as well. So there's a lot of concerns, and I'll try my best to remove the emotional investment in it in that video. I'll start working on that today after the stream, and then tomorrow as well, and then try having that out. We're already on the 20th, probably the first week of next month. But that's the reason why I need to cut back on the streams, is because I want to get better at pushing out videos and kind of not getting in my own way and just flowing with it. One of my main concerns and issues is that I may be seeing something connect, but I'm not articulating myself well enough so that others viewing can see the connecting, the strings, right? That is always my fear, that I just sound like a fucking maniac, rambling and speaking nonsense. And that's why I'm big on receipts, or haters with receipts. I've been yapping for like 30 minutes almost, and I appreciate y'all hearing me out. In terms of the book club, and it's a lot of fun, especially in the Discord, you know, I mean, look, you know, get enough of us, even in an online room, we're going to talk nonsense. We're going to go all over the map. Shout out to Socialism for All, who I think does it a lot of things the right way. A lot of things the right way. I would have too many compliments if I started. So I'll just leave it at that. But there is a big influence that he's having on me now that I'm on this side. Because I would just put on his audiobooks. And just kind of even like recently, right now, like I'm re-listening to his Lenin's What Is to Be Done. I've read it and I've gone back to it multiple times, especially when I'm feeling like lost. I'm not turning to a Bible, so yeah. But again, the staying power of an edited video, and it kind of hit me where I'm like, so I looked up on YouTube, I'm like, audiobook of Open Things in Latin America. And there is an audiobook, but it's like a robotic one. And I'm like, nah, man, like there's no version of this to where, you know, because Socialism for All, homie will add a little commentary or bring up something else. Hey, you might want to check out this and that. Now we're going back to the text. And that keeps it fresh, right? And also, I'm pretty sure it avoids whatever copyright issues. I mean, these are older texts, so I doubt that aspect of it. But I'm like, okay, what would happen if instead of trying to do a weekly reading of Open Veins in Latin America and then chatting about it afterwards, what would happen if I just sat down and, you know, read through it, obviously in different sessions. I edit that together with my commentary sprinkled throughout, with my references, with connecting to modern stuff, like that Jacobin article, right? And then that's like a what, like probably 4 or 5 hour video, and I dropped that on I don't think I would drop it in the main channel, but if I were to drop that, people could just turn back to it whenever. People can just tap into that whenever they want, pause and take a break and whatever. They don't have to go and look for, oh, this live stream. Oh, well, he was unable to get to that one stream, so let me see if it's none of that. It just becomes, here it is. Oh my. And I'm like, that is so much fucking more efficient in terms of providing that for people and just leaving it there. And people can discover it and find it cuando sea. It doesn't get lost in the shuffle of things. And I was like, fuck, that makes so much sense. And again, shout out to Socialism for All. Homie's fucking intelligent, is doing a lot of things right. I would struggle to find things that he's doing wrong. You know what I mean? So things are definitely going to change. Again, I feel like I've been doing this for a little bit, but it's still like very early on in what my approach is, and I'm still learning, and I remain open-minded. Shout out again to FD Signifier, who essentially broke this down to me and told me, but I'm hard-headed, soy mulo, soy cabrón, and sometimes I need to like find things out for myself. But yeah. I hope I've explained myself. I like his audiobooks. The Stalinist stuff is a bit gross. Hey, homie, I talk about this all the time that mind you, my bookshelves are still not organized, but organized enough. Where are we? The Foundations of Leninism by Stalin. The fundamental question of Leninism, its point of departure, is not the peasant question, but the question of the dictatorship of the proletariat, of the conditions under which it can be achieved, of the conditions under which it can be consolidated. What else do we have here? I'm just looking at like my annotations. Oh, here's a good one. It is to be explained primarily by the fact that these parties do not believe in the proletariat dictatorship, that they fear revolution and have no intention of leading a proletariat to power. Those who are afraid of revolution, who do not intend to lead the proletariat to power, cannot be interested in the question of allies for the proletariat in the revolution. To them, the question of allies is one of indifference, of no immediate significance. So, one thing that I really appreciate about Stalin is he broke shit down in a simple way, and I'm a simple man. You know, to quote Leonard Skinner, right? Of all people. So look, whatever campus shit, whatever, hey, my team, my hero, my look is out. I don't think we're in any position to be arguing or debating that shit. It's almost irrelevant. Stalin's writings have helped me understand Leninism, Marxist Leninism a whole lot better. So I don't really engage in that kind of back and forth stuff, to be honest. And even when I talk about like anarchists, you don't hear me talking shit about anarchists. I don't do it. I think CJ dropped a video about Stalin or somebody, and I was just like, I got nothing. Whatever, spend your time how you want to spend it. I don't do that stuff. And shout out to CJ. Go subscribe to his channel. It's just not me. All right. All right, just checking the chat. Appreciate y'all. Sincerely. All right, let's get to it. Let's lock in. 35 minutes of my whining and crying over. I appreciate the patience. And I almost forgot. My apologies here. I forgot to do two things. And not that I just don't like to discriminate, you know. Oh, there we go. Close that. Claudia and Daria over on the Deculturation live chat, keeping it alive. And the Twitch chat is always pretty dead, but por si acaso. I hope y'all understand why it is that I'm, you know, gonna pull back. Daka Dune, keeping it alive in the Twitch chat. Appreciate you. Gonna pull back on the live streams. But it is what it is. And I understand, you know, if people are a bit unhappy with it. I get it. But this did make me laugh. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This had me dying because I don't even know this was name. Clavicular or some shit like that. Was it Piers Morgan? He was on Piers Morgan. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can. What the fuck? And this is what I mean. Because I mean, when I say hate these people, I truly mean it. Let me see if I could find that one clip that I'm looking for. Oh, I think Adam Freeland mentioned it. Hold on. Let me find it real quick, y'all. My apologies. Because I just kind of like really exemplified why I was like, oh man, this is embarrassing. But I think Adam Freeland's going to have it on his I mean, Adam Freeland is a disgusting little twerp. Let me see if I can find it. My apologies, y'all. It was a while ago, but when I saw it, I was like, it kind of confirmed. It kind of verified how I was feeling about the live streams. It kind of reminded me of like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of missing the point of putting stuff out like this. Kind of weird shit. To where it kind of alienates and removes you from reality a little bit, even if you're trying your best to stay in touch. It just pulls you in. And again, I mentioned a couple of times where I'm like, I can't even believe we did like a 6 hour stream when before I was struggling to do like 2-3 hours. Can I find it? Damn, I'm not gonna be able to find it. That's unfortunate. And mainly because I felt like it wasn't important enough to like it or save. I don't think I did. But it was funny enough to me to be like, oh yeah, this is I'm fucking up. I'm messing up. Damn, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Damn, bro. All right. I tried. I had to turn off the screen because of this. You know, you really don't be searching stuff like that. Or don't search anything on Twitter without expecting some nonsense to pop up. So it's better to just play it safe. I think it would have been in the Adam Freeland video. I don't know why I didn't just go to his. Man, was it that long ago? Or I think this is just all over the map. Y'all know how I get with receipts. Or I need to find it or else I get and I try not to get too personal with this stuff, that I personally don't like these individuals. All right, I'm not gonna find it there. Oh well. I think it'll be under his replies. Hey. Oh, here we go. Here, I found it. I think it's worth the wait. Let's hear it.
What do you do for fun? Like, what's?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't do anything besides stream.
That's so sad, is what I would say if I lived in a totally separate body than the one that I currently occupy. And because I'm Hasan Piker, I will say that's normal and cool, okay? I caught myself. It is sad. And then I felt like I was just saying that about myself, I'll be honest.
What do you do for fun? Like, what's?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't do anything besides stream.
You know how fucking pathetic that is? You know how sad that is? You know how dehumanizing that is? You know what that does to your fucking psyche? You stop being a person, an individual, you start becoming a full-time fucking product. You can't be yourself, your character, and you're doing it for so long and so consistently that you lose yourself. Because sure, we're up, performing all the time, but not with tens of thousands of viewers. This is a perfect example. And I'm a bad atheist. Y'all know this. I'm a bad atheist. But when examples like this line up perfectly, for me, it's like a post. When you're a little bit lost and you're on a trail or whatever, and you see a post and it notifies you, hey, you're this far from so and so. You blah, blah, blah. And so moments like this, for me, are supposed to be like, hey, you keep going down that road, you're going to be as pathetic, as soulless, as dehumanized as these individuals. And they love this shit. They adore this shit. This is their life. This is all they have. This is who they see themselves as. A living, breathing product. I don't want that. I've never wanted that. And when I say that, I was like, legitimately like, fuck, how did I do 7 hours? How did I stream 7 hours? Like, what happened? It was a good time, but like, I don't want that. It pulls you in. It pulls you in. One of the reasons why I don't share a lot about my personal life is, again, because I don't want to encourage the parasocial relationship aspect of it all. Hasan Piker, Sam Cedar, these individuals, the Vanguard, they feed that shit. Oh, here are my parents. Oh, here's my girlfriend. Oh, here's my children. Homie, I thought we were here to talk politics. Why the fuck are you showing me your family tree? So that you can connect them. So it becomes more personal to you as the viewer. And so you become, that parasocial mentality becomes more ratified. It reaffirms itself. And it just, it fucks with everybody's heads involved, because we're having caught up to the fact of like, hey, there's a screen separating us. Hey, we don't know each other. But these people, the Hasan Pikers, the Claviculars, the Sam Cedars, they're a businessman. What is it? I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Like that's what it is. And fucking Jay-Z, that sweatshirt, the hoodie, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's a bar from Izzo. I wasn't the biggest hip hop fan as a kid. I was Oh, eres rockero, right? Oh, you're into rock and roll. Yes, I was. But one of the reasons why I knew a bit about Jay-Z, I'm not gonna say a lot, a bit about Jay-Z, was because he did that collaboration with Linkin Park, right? And at that age, I haven't listened to it in a while, but at that age, that shit was like fucking mind blowing, right? And you know, Chester, and then homie that later went on to as Fort Minor and all these things, and hearing Jay-Z. So I was like, yeah, I know where the line's from. It means more than that at the Super Bowl. Anywho, I don't know why I brought that up. But this is pathetic. This is sad, and I don't want it to be me. I mean, once I get merch, once shit starts, my merchandise starts being advertised on Twitter, on X, maybe you call me a businessman. Maybe once I stop living paycheck to paycheck, maybe then you call me a businessman. Maybe once I take like advertisement deals the way Hasan has, maybe you call me a businessman. But come on. No, I never really cared for Bow Wow. And I was never like a fan of basketball. I wasn't never a fan of. I never followed team sports to begin with, so I missed the wave of like Mike. I missed a lot, man. Just not being a sports aficionado. But one more time, just for the patheticness of it all.
What do you do for fun? Like, what's?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't do anything besides stream.
That's so sad, is what I would say if I lived in a totally separate body than the one that I currently occupy. And because I'm Hasan Piker, I will say that's normal and cool. Okay. I caught myself. It is sad. And then I felt like I was just saying that about myself. I'll be honest.
It is sad. It is pathetic. I think with the success that you have, especially in the political world, in the political realm, covering politics, your streaming should go down because you're actually on the ground doing shit. But he only gets off his ass again when something's popular enough for him to hop on. All right. Daria at the Deculturation live chat, you're right. Showing babies and kids on stream immediately makes me uncomfortable because I'm thinking of the kid being used as a prop and how that can haunt them for the rest of their lives. Yeah, so Sam Cedar isn't allowed to have his kid on stream because he's a divorcee, right? But he definitely had them on the show and even used some of his daughter's questions when talking to Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez. And shit like that is just gross and disgusting. It's not to the same level of exploiting your children by putting them on camera, but if he could, I think he would. But I mean, one of the perks, and we should be grateful for his ex-wife for leaving his ass. All right. So this is again a prime example why I'm gonna cut back on the streaming a little bit. So let's get to it. We'll start off with this. Again, because of my union stuff. I contemplated heading out to this. It was out here. And I'm like, it's just, if I were to be like, hey, I need to be there, that means I can't act up. Man. So I was just like, let me just stay my ass home. Plus, again, the no vehicle aspect of it, the great fucking transportation.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Ace, thank you for the super chat. Difference between you streaming versus Hasan, etc. is you're helping combat disinformation and makes leadership. They spend tons of hours spewing BS and influencing people, so a counterbalance does help. And I appreciate that. I do. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's the best use of your time? And I don't want to just become a talking head. I do want to be more involved in. There's some stuff that I had talked about with, the board of my union, and that they were down with, and I just lost track of time, and my time management has always been a weakness. And I'm like, all right, let me pull back and let me re-up that program, or not that program, that objective, that goal of mine that I wanted to do in my position. And I think I just overall create a better culture in my workplace. And again, the fact that I can't get into certain details. Well, y'all know I've been to Dallas. My union situation is a little bit weird, but like also being able to do something cross state lines is like super, super fucking fortunate. And it's an opportunity that I'm trying to capitalize on a little bit more. And even when I had like kind of dipped out over there to do work on that side, y'all knew that I was like, I'm not gonna be streaming, that's this and that, and I don't want that to be a hindrance to my union work. Even if it means that like the channel was getting hurt or whatnot, or not growing or not being as consistent. Priorities. All right. This individual is like Luigi. Yeah, let me go ahead and stop the stream to talk about what you want to talk about and not what the actual stream is going to be about. Let me do that. And let me do that. Thank you for contributing to the conversation, bro. All right, let's get to it. Bernie Sanders warns of billionaire class as California wealth tax fight intensifies. So obviously, look, I want this to pass. But we have to understand that when liberals...
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Major Lasers, thank you for the super chat. We have to understand that when liberals push for things, and when we're talking about Bernie Sanders, he can call himself a democratic socialist or whatnot. He's a sheepdog for the Democratic Party. He's a sheepdog for the Democratic Party. Bruce Dixon talked about this in Black Agenda Report. The way that they were so ahead of the game is it hurts, man. It hurts because it's like, God damn, I wish somebody would have been like, oh, have you... No one around me knew who Black Agenda Report was. You know what I mean? Until like I was proactively searching that out. So it's just one of those things where like, damn, if I would have discovered Bruce Dixon and Glenn Ford a little bit younger, I would have just saved so much time, but also I would have felt a lot less.
I'm afraid of like talking to people who are outside of my race.
Like a maniac, you know? Like if I was just losing my mind a little bit. Major Lasers, glad to hear you have a plan for your life balance. Love the live streams, but your well-being is more important. You know, look, fuck my well-being. Fuck all that. No, I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. But it's more so, I don't just want to be on, sitting on my ass and talking about this shit. I've never wanted to do that. I want to be organizing. I want to be around people that have a shared interest and goal in terms of a political program. Even with my union organizing, that kind of does scratch that itch just a little bit. There's so much of it that is practical work. There's so much, I would say like 90% of it is practical work in the political realm, to where it's kind of a little bit of like soul crushing. It's a little soul crushing to be like, okay, yep, I got to go do that. I disagree with the positions being held. I think we should be pushing harder. But all the other larger unions are backing this, and I'm here to do the work. and you got to swallow your pride and do your best. Now, on the flip side, when you're able to be there for union members one-on-one, that is so goddamn rewarding. One of the jokes is that I'll share this because I want to be honest. One of the jokes is that like I never know what's going on. That I never know what's going on, right? In terms of the day-to-day operation stuff. And it makes me laugh because I'm like, I just got a lot on my plate to where like I'm not keeping up with the work emails. My apologies. I'll look into it and I do it and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I do that. But then these fools see me when I had to represent them or I'm in the room with them in management. And then they're like, all right, okay, I get why. I get why we keep you around. I'm like, hey, we all have different skills and qualities and ways that we can help. I know what my weaknesses and my shortcomings, and I try my best to address those. But I also know that you want me in the room and you want me in your corner. When it's time to talk that shit and you know, maybe weasel your way out of a situation or paint it in a better light, perhaps. I've been in phone calls where I'm like, that's not gonna work. Let's reword that. Let's look at it from a different perspective, you know? Let's never lie, never that. But you know, is there rules against gaslighting management? I don't know. I don't know. Daria, I agree with you. And that's why we're both broke. That's why you and me, Daria, are both broke because we have that mentality. I am Manifesto Glenford would articulate in a way that made me feel so validated in my understanding, yet inadequate in my ability to elucidate, relay it. Yeah, right? Like, what's homeboy's name? Omar. I don't want to butcher his last name. But he's in the West Bank, Palestinian, and would hop on a lot with Jared and millennials are killing capitalism. Omar is for me somebody that a living figure that is very much like that. That is like, goddamn, you're able to capture the way that I'm feeling and can't just put into words. And I'm so grateful for that. And you know, individuals like that you admire and unfortunately it's very hard not to put them in a pedestal, even though we shouldn't. And thankfully we've had disagreements like with the Zohar Mamdani stuff to where I can be like, all right, cool. He's just human. I'm just human. It's all good. So yeah, homie. Like I said, I can't say much, and I like keeping things compartmentalized. Yes. What is it? Abed Jawad Omar? For real. Fucking him and Muhammad Al Kurd. Fucking poets, bro. Poets. I know Muhammad Al Kurd is legitimately a poet. I don't know if Omar is, but the way that their pen, man. Okay. Let's go. This is why this is why the 2-hour mark is gonna be difficult. We're an hour in. It's cool. We're so within the time frame. Bernie Sanders warns a billionaire class as California wealth tax fight intensifies. Obviously, I would want this to pass, but when liberals, and despite being an independent his entire political career, he is a Democratic Party sheepdog. That's who Bernie Sanders is. Again, shout out to Black Agenda Report.
I'm afraid of like talking to people who
shout
are
out to
outside of my race.
Bruce Dixon and Glenn Ford. And if you're watching this, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Here we go. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders delivered a fiery warning to what he called the billionaire class at a rally Wednesday in Los Angeles. in support of a tax initiative that would target California's wealthiest residents. One of my main issues, though, is this whole obsession with billionaires has kind of normalized and taken away the criticism and pressure on millionaires, because Bernie Sanders is one. And later on, we're going to see his conversation with Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker is one. So as they got richer, suddenly the conversation went from millionaire to billionaire. But we should be vilifying, stigmatizing millionaires, because that only makes billionaires seem worse. Whereas if you solely focus on billionaires first and foremost, you normalize millionaires. We have to be saying, we have to be taxing at the very least millionaires to prevent them from becoming billionaires. But nope, they get their money, they get the bag, and suddenly it's like, oh, these billionaires, can you believe them? Can you believe these billionaires? Homie, no one should be a millionaire to begin with. We need to cut that shit at its root, or as close to it as possible. The billionaire class no longer sees itself as part of American society. No longer. No longer, bro. Like, this just in. Suddenly it happened. And when the world needed him most, the billionaire class vanished. Said the Vermont Independent. This is, I mean, again, this isn't here to... The whole, okay, so DSA is not a political party. It's a political organization meant to, do PR for the Democratic Party and trick people into believing that there's hope to reform that party. Before that, this whole independent label was used by Bernie Sanders to be like, hey, I'm an independent. You could trust me. Go vote for the Democrats. He ran as a Democratic Party presidential nominee twice. Got screwed over the first time. Objectively speaking, got screwed over the first time. And instead of saying, hey, you know what? I tried doing it through the Democratic Party. I'm going to start a new fucking party. I'm going to join the Green Party, whatever, what have you. At that time, because the Democratic Party screwed me over and it screwed you over, America, right? Working class, all that shit. Instead of doing that, he's like, nope, going back to the Democratic Party, come vote for them again. And guess what? The second time, he rolled over for his good friend Joe. And he's still using the independent label. Because it's just a fucking marketing ploy. It's just some marketing. It's a fucking gimmick. Who won the 2020 California Democratic presidential primary by 8 percentage points over former President Joe Biden? They see themselves as something separate and apart. Like the oligarchs of the 18th century, the kings and queens, and the czars, they believe they have the divine right to rule and are no longer subject to democratic governance. He's not wrong about that part. We're haters, but we're honest. The proposed November initiative would tax the 2025 net worth of billionaires residing in California by 5%, allowing them to pay off the tax over 5 years, which is ridiculous. The revenue would go into a special fund with 90% reserved for healthcare and 10% reserved for K-12 education. Again, I hope it passes. Newsom has said he's not supporting it. So, and we've seen him veto a lot of things before. How far will he take this? Instead of targeting income like most taxes, this one aims at individuals' collected wealth. Quote, They're saying there's nothing you can do about it. Well, we've got some bad news for them starting right here in California. He said California's richest people are preparing to spend heavily to defeat the initiative, and voters should be ready for deceptive messaging. Their ads will be saying, "We are billionaires. We want it all. Please vote." Their ads won't be saying, "We're billionaires. We want it all. Please vote down this referendum," Sanders said to blast from the crowd at the Wiltern Theater. What they're saying is, if you stand up to us, we are going to punish you. And one of the unfortunate things that I had to deal with is even when these referendums pass, and I've seen this, I've been in City Hall, I've sat down, had conversations about this, and essentially have the game explained to me by actual career organizers, that even if this were to pass, and even if Newsom doesn't veto it, or things like this, that try and hold these corporations accountable in LA, in California, even then they're going to fight in tooth and nail to try and get enough signatures to either remove it or put it back on the ballot. But again, these are all maneuvers to try and prevent corporations from not even paying workers what they're owed, but just a little bit more crumbs. A little bit more crumbs, because they don't want any affirmation to what can be achieved through organizing. And so they had to fight all that shit. All right. Service employees, International Union United Healthcare Workers, West and St. John's Community Health in Los Angeles, the sponsors of the proposal, are gathering signatures to place a measure on the ballot in November amid opposition from some other unions. And again, all right, we'll just move forward. It's also a risky proposition for Governor Gavin Newsom, who is eyeing a 2028 presidential run and needs the support of the deep pockets in Silicon Valley, to whom he has been close for years. A shout out to Ro Khanna. He and the leading Democrats who are running to replace him have come out against the tax as part of a larger opposition push expected to ramp up in the coming weeks. They argue that they support making wealthy people pay more, but this specific measure will drive billionaires out of California. It won't. It just simply will not. Understand, and I have to explain this to a lot of people that are out here. People dream of coming out here. The weather alone will keep them here. There is a certain status of living in the fucking West Coast, right? The coastal elite bullshit is very much real to a certain degree. It just won't happen. There's too much to do out here. It's too much fun. We saw a little bit of an exodus to Texas, to Austin, and that died down. It died down. Because what ends up happening is when wherever they leave, they turn it to a pseudo Los Angeles. But you know what they can't take with them? The fucking weather. The fucking studios. They just can't do it. And this whole bullshit of, oh, they're going to leave. No, they're not. No, they're not. They might move things around, but they're not leaving. It's just, they haven't left now. They're not going to leave later. It's that simple. Exactly. It was the same bullshit in the East Coast. Oh, they're going to leave New York City. No, they're fucking not. No, they're fucking, look. If they already deal with all the baggage of being in New York City, no offense. No offense. And paying a little bit more, it's not going to be the deal breaker. It just isn't. There's a certain culture status that is obtained by living in these places, especially if you're not born there. Oh, if you're not born there, you're able to move there. Holy fuck, will they not stop yapping about it? It is so fucking frustrating. There's a reason why Hasan Piker has a multi-million-dollar home in West Hollywood. There's a reason why. He works online. There's no practical reason for him to live somewhere that expensive, to be such a gentrifier, to get a house that overpriced. There really isn't. None whatsoever. But there's a status. There's a status to it. I'm a hater, but I try giving people, the benefit of the doubt, and I try to tune in and whatnot. I was watching one of his streams. It starts lagging. Mind you, he still does the empty chair thing, the chair react. But it starts lagging, and he's like freaking out about his stream lagging, this and that. And they're like, dude, just get optic cable. Like, what are you doing here? Like, come on. Update your fucking system and whatnot. Oh, he can't because where he stays at in West Hollywood, they don't have that option. You would think, you would put on your thinking cap and you would think that someone who makes a living from being online would make sure that they live somewhere where they have the most up-to-date internet service possible. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he prioritize that above living in West Hollywood? Because of the status of where your fucking zip code is. Because of the status of when you tell people where you live, Los Angeles, especially the West Hollywood area, New York, there's a certain status to it that these people are not going to give up on. Because it goes against logic for them. It goes against logic to them to be like, hey, let me go live somewhere where my streams aren't going to get fucked up. They're like, nope, fuck the stream, fuck my viewers. I want the status of saying I live in West Hollywood. I want the status of saying I live in New York City. Pick a fucking borough, I don't fucking know. All right. Y'all haven't gotten me to go visit out there. I don't know what will. I can't imagine, bro. One, I'm going to envy the public transportation. But two, I hate large crowds, and it seems pretty fucking crowded out there. Just saying. But yeah, they use this fear-mongering bullshit about they're gonna leave. They're gonna leave. Nah. In all honesty, the losers fucking leave. Ben Shapiro left. They fucking leave. And then they end up fucking regretting it. That pushback will now also include Republican U.S. Representative Kevin Kelly, who pledged to introduce a bill this week in Congress that would prohibit any state from levying a tax retroactively on people who no longer live in the state. Dr. Jacqueline Lasola, an obstetrician, said that at the rally Wednesday, the tax would help maintain staffing in hospitals that would be affected by an estimated $30 billion in annual cuts to federal Medicaid funds beginning 2027. The fact that they're going to fight back against, you know what? I mean, the medical industry, especially medical practitioners, and we're seeing this in New York, where Mamdani was marching alongside them, but then had his police force, through Commissioner Tish, the Zionist herself, arrest nurses out in the fucking freezing cold. Understand that COVID literally was the death knell in public support for medical workers, because there was this whole wave of like the real heroes, first line, all that shit, right? But nothing was done on a national level to guarantee that these real fucking heroes would have the protections and would be compensated properly. So instead, you had the Democratic Party refuse, through the so-called squad, to have a fight over universal health care. which would have helped the financial position of nurses and all medical staff. Because then you're talking about nationalizing shit, job security. Where are we here? At a time when this administration is gutting our healthcare, our safety net, and our public services, we're here to protect Californians, Lozalo said. It's time to tax the billionaires. Tom Morello, the guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, played the band's best-known song, Killing in the Name of, but replaced the second half of a lyric. Some of those who burn crosses are the same that hold office. There's a little question that California could use the money. President Donald Trump's sweeping tax reform and budget bill, the One Big Beautiful Act, is projected to cut nearly $1 trillion from Medicaid over a decade. So I think on a federal level, for sure, on a national level, if a Democrat comes into office and they do not overturn this, because Joe Biden kept a lot of the tax cuts that Donald Trump pushed forward. If a Democrat does not overturn this or try to their best legal possibilities to try and push a bigger Beautiful Bill Act Part 2, Electric Boogaloo moment. If they don't do that, I don't know what more fucking confirmation you want that these two political parties are working for the behest of capital and not you or me. Again, Biden did not try to implement new taxes that would compensate for the tax cuts that Donald Trump pushed forward. All right. California is estimated to lose roughly $30 billion in federal Medicaid funds annually as a result. The state's Medi-Cal agency estimates 3.4 million people will lose coverage as a result of federal eligibility changes. The bulk of cuts won't take effect until 2027, but states, including California, are already taking steps to shrink their healthcare insurance programs for low-income and disabled individuals. It's sick, man. It's sick when a society abandons the most marginalized. Understand that the Nazis started. For me, this right here, the bulk of cuts won't take effect until 2027, but the states, including California, are already taking steps to shrink their health insurance programs for low-income and disabled individuals. Am I misreading? I can be wrong. I might be misreading this. To shrink it, right? Meaning to what? To exclude people from it. Low income and disabled individuals. I want to focus on this aspect of it, the disabled individuals. The Nazis first targeted disabled individuals. Why are you bringing up the Nazis? Why nobody's targeting them in that aspect where they're going to put them in gas chambers, experiment on them, this and that? Sure. But when you start shrinking their health coverage, their health benefits, understand this. They need this shit to survive, to live. This is a form of eugenics. Let's not fuck around with it. It pisses me off that liberals get to normalize certain shit. When you abandon someone whose life depends, even their well-being depends on health coverage to be provided for them, you are killing them. You are leaving them out to suffer, to die, to starve for their ailments, their chronic illness, what have you, to take their lives away. 100% passive violence. Even the way this is formed, shrink their health insurance. This word carries thousands of lives that will be lost because of this. And the fact that we don't see it that way, the fact that it's allowed to be presented in such a inhumane manner, is just a reflection of how fucking lost we are. But California, vote Democrat. Vote Democrat. Let California be a prime example how things become so much better and are just fucking great and dandy when you have Democrats in power. Opponents of the billionaire tax argue that its impact won't be felt for years, but the state budget will be hit from losing the income tax that the billionaires pay, which accounts for a significant portion of California's revenue. The opposition has coalesced around 3 proposed ballot measures designed to invalidate the proposed billionaire tax. One would forbid retroactive taxes, a second would prohibit any tax that excludes revenues from their calculation, and a third would exempt non-residents and part-time residents from a net worth tax. So they're pushing 3 fucking ballot measures in hopes that if one of them hits, they can avoid all this for the rich, for the billionaire. Wild. So Bernie Sanders comes out, say, hey, vote yes. We're in agreement. One thing that made me laugh, though, from this speech, and if you've heard any one of Bernie's speeches once, you've heard them all a million times. A whole lot of barking, very little bite. But this part made me fucking laugh.
Ownership. Today, the billionaire class, to an unprecedented degree, determines what the American people see, hear, and read.
Agreed. It's always been that way. You know, I don't really like referencing theory too much. Don't want to sound stupid. I do that all on my own. But yeah, the leading thoughts. The zeitgeist is always led and controlled by the rich and powerful. 100%. It's always been that way.
Through their ownership of media. So if you wonder why issues like income and wealth inequality, issues like corporate greed are not talked about too much in the media, it has a lot to do with who owns that media. Just to give you a few examples. Who owns Twitter? You all know who owns Twitter? That's right, Elon Musk. You know who owns the Washington Post and Twitch? Smart group, Jeff Bezos. Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Threads. Larry Ellison owns CBS. And you can see with his new ownership of CBS, that network is undergoing profound changes. He owns TikTok, has a lot of stake in TikTok, Paramount Pictures, Skydance, and MTV. Rupert Murdoch, our good friend, owns Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post. Okay? So.
He's not wrong. But the boo over CBS, the boo over TikTok, is funny as fuck because Larry Ellison is a Zionist, just like Bernie Sanders. Is anti-Palestinian, just like Bernie Sanders. Anti-Palestinian billionaire can now control what TikTok users see. And this is what, like a year ago? December 2025. Okay, so a couple months ago. Let's see here. The TikTok deal announced on Thursday poses a fundamental threat to free and honest discourse about Israel's ongoing genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Under the reported deal, the Chinese company that owns the short video social media app, ByteDance, will transfer control of TikTok's algorithm and other U.S. operations to a new consortium of investors led by the U.S. technology company Oracle. Excuse me. The long gestating deal will give Oracle. It's weird. Will give Oracle's billionaire pro-Trump board members Larry Ellison and Safra Katz the power to impose their anti-Palestinian agenda over the content that TikTok users see. Most mainstream US media coverage of TikTok's deal has completely ignored the explicitly anti-Palestinian agenda of its biggest Western investors. TikTok has played a critical role in helping hundreds of millions of users see the ugly reality of Israel's genocidal war in Gaza. The Trump-favored billionaires who will take over TikTok's US operations have a documented agenda of both suppressing voices critical of Israel and supporting the very Israeli military that has killed so many Palestinian civilians. Without safeguards in place, TikTok's US operations could soon become an exercise in blocking users from seeing and reacting to the crimes against humanity perpetrated by a major US ally. Something that benefits Zionists at large, like Bernie Sanders. I mean, if anyone's doubting that Bernie Sanders is not happy, that not, that he didn't breathe a sigh of relief when this came out. You don't know who Bernie Sanders is. You just don't. Here's a prime example. Let me pull this up real quick. One of the reasons why Bernie loves Golda Meir is because of the approach that Golda Meir took in terms of the media. And y'all seen this before, but you have to be reminded of how sick this guy is. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
And I think that many people do not understand that the Israel of today is not the Israel of Golda Meir of 20 or 30 years ago. It is a right-wing country, increasingly becoming a religious fundamentalist country, where you have some of these guys in office believe that God told them they have a right to control the entire area. Not a whole lot different, by the way, than what Hamas is saying.
Yep. Not a whole lot different than what Hamas is saying. Again, equating the colonizer and the colonized, those resisting colonial occupation and those imposing colonial occupation. But that's not even the key thing here. That's not even the key thing here. The key thing, and what we should all recognize, is his glorification of Golda Meir. It's the reason why I joke around and say that Bernie Sanders and Golda Meir were lovers. It's just a joke. I'm just goofing around. But it's to highlight the absurdity of celebrating Golda Meir while claiming that you oppose the genocide, when he finally called it a genocide, of Palestinians by the Zionist project. Here's why. Do me a favor, y'all, hit the like button while you're here. And we've been over this. From On the Wise, new report outlines how Golda Meir's Israel poisoned Palestinian land in ethnic cleansing operation. This is who Bernie Sanders is glorifying. Because Bernie Sanders is a liberal Zionist, right? So here's the thing. Liberal Zionists are more calculated. What Malcolm X warned about the liberal and, the Republican, the reactionary, is true across the board. A liberal wants to be slick with his insidious atrocities. Here's a prime example. Or Golda Meir breaks this down. Yes, perfectly. This is from Golda Meir. And the article cites minutes of January 19th, 1971 cabinet meeting under the title of Statements and Announcements Regarding Settlements and Outposts. In it, Prime Minister Meir made a special request to the ministers. Again, this is what Bernie Sanders is glorifying. And this is what Bernie Sanders is glorifying by saying this is not the Israel of 20 or 30 years ago of Golda Meir. He's saying, I am reminiscing. I wish we had this back. That is an Israel, a Zionist entity that I can uphold and be proud of, right? We've been over this. Here's what she had to say. Before we move forward with our discussions, there's something I'd like to ask. It was our habit that for anything that has to do with settlements, outposts, land expropriations, aka whenever we fucking steal land, whenever we take it from Palestinians, and so on, we simply do and do not talk about it. We simply do and do not talk about it. Very much like the, Roosevelt's whole speak quietly and carry a big stick. Same colonial mentality. Same colonial mentality. Lately, this line of understanding has broken down, and I'm asking the ministers, for the sake of our homeland, to hold back. For the sake of our homeland. It ain't your homeland, but in their minds, they're saying, hey, for this settler colonial project to succeed, you need to pull back. You're blowing up the spot. That's what she's saying. Talk less and do as much as possible. Talk less and do as much as possible. She's not saying show restraint in what you're physically, proactively doing. She's saying be fucking quiet about it. But the main thing, as much as possible, is to talk less. We were not used to ministers appearing in settlements in a ceremony with the press and so on. I am asking that it be the same in the future. This is a difference between a liberal Zionist, one like Bernie Sanders and Golda Meir, and a rabid one like Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben Gavir. I don't know why I was blanking on that disgusting figure's name. That's the main difference. This is what Bernie Sanders is glorifying. This is what he's wishing and reminiscing was back in power. Someone who was willing to use chemical weapons on Palestinians in the West Bank. Not that that should be a distinction. Not that that should be a distinction. And unfortunately, it's just something to highlight. And Bernie saying, oh, I miss my old Golda Meir. It's fucking disgusting. Yes, be discreet with your land theft, 100%. It's fucking gross. And so when he brings this fool up, it's just interesting how he doesn't highlight the fact that, oh yeah, he just bought CBS and he just bought TikTok in order to continue pushing a Zionist agenda. Bernie's probably like, hey, you should have bought it before October 7th. So people can become normalized to our propaganda. And one of my other favorite clips here, let me see if I can find it real quick before we check out this next video here. I'm hater enough to where I might have tweeted this out myself. So let's see here. Where are we at? No, it's not gonna be there. Let's try. Maybe Hasan Bernie would do it. Oh yes, here it is. All right. Found it.
Never happened, but in a totally just world, any kind of regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi.
Any sort of Zionist tendency in a just fair world, a world according to Hasan Piker, any Zionist of any tendency should be treated the same as a neo-Nazi.
Never happened, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting.
Not even the local dog catcher. It's just barking. It's just fucking barking. He doesn't mean any of this. He doesn't believe in any of this. He's an opportunist. He's saying this because he's know his chat is going to be like fucking clapping like seals. The dogs of the sea. All right? So he doesn't believe in any of this. Because if he did, he wouldn't have gone into business with a known Zionist and Ethan Klein. Because if he did, he would not be rocking Teddy Fresh from an IOF veteran.
If they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel.
Any positive feelings, if they've ever demonstrated any positive feelings towards the state of Israel. That's pretty fucking extreme. Because you would hope that they would grow out of that. You would hope that through, just like denazification unfortunately never truly occurred, you would hope that through the Zionization, that they would abandon those feelings, right? Through re-education. But homie's like, nah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck where you are today, Elon Pape. You were once a Zionist, always a Zionist. Like, oh, okay. Look, I'm not going to argue against it. I'm not going to debate against it. I'm like, all right, bro. You one-up me. Congratulations. Let's do it your way. That's what I would say if you were really about it.
Dog catcher as Felix was posting. If they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this. Never happened, but in a totally just world, any kind of, regardless of your background, any kind of fucking Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the fucking local dog catcher as Felix was posting. If they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this.
Grown up, lived, born, and raised in Southern California my whole fucking life. I don't claim LA, but LA County through and through. And you don't hear me be like, oh God, I'm so serious. Transplants do this shit to try and again capture some of the cultural cachet of saying you're from LA. It's fucking pathetic. And I've always said this, don't trust anyone that is from a ethnic cultural background and doesn't have a fucking accent. Get the fuck out of here. Let me hear that sazon. Let me hear where you're from. Let me hear that fucking culture, that seasoning. Where is it at? Instead you want to sound like a Californian, some SNL bullshit. And of course, like I said, nothing but fake, false bravado, because we know this about Bernie.
It's increasingly evident that hopes for a two-state solution are almost dead. At the same time, polls among Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Gaza are showing that they're increasingly in favor.
This was years ago.
Of a one-state solution with equal rights for Israelis and Palestinians alike and equal citizenship. Is that something you believe could happen, or is that something you support?
No, I don't. I mean, I think if that happens, then that would be the end of the state of Israel.
If equal rights happened, if equal rights happen in the Zionist entity, meaning the Zionist settler colonial project would stay intact, very much like how the United States granted equal rights to new Africans, equal rights to the indigenous people, equal rights, and it still remained a settler colonial project till this day. That's what it is. That's what we're under. Illegitimately European occupied project here that we have. Bernie is saying is such a fucking racist, such a fucking Zionist, such a fucking supremacist that he's saying, nope, they cannot have equal rights, even under the Zionist umbrella, even under Zionist control. Nope. But calling him a fucking neo-Nazi would be inaccurate. Saying that he has the same type of supremacist worldview as a neo-Nazi would. It's fucking disgusting.
And I support Israel's right to exist. And I support Israel's right to exist.
That little eyebrow raise. He's like, yeah, I fucking said it. You little brown woman. What are you going to do about it? Look at that. Look at that shit. Fucking disgusting. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it.
And I support Israel's right to exist.
He's like, yeah, I'm a fucking racist. And what? Yes, I want a European settler colonial project in Palestine. And the only moment that you will ever see Zionists, even like Bernie Sanders, say, okay, they can have equal rights. It's when they have the numerical majority across the fucking land. I'm not just talking about what's currently the Zionist entity. I'm talking about greater Israel. When they have the numerical majority there, then they might consider equal rights. Because then you can never gather enough votes to change anything of significance. The same playbook here. There's a reason why the Nazis looked at the US. There's a reason why South Africans looked at the US. There's a reason why the Zionists look at the US.
And I support Israel's right to exist.
It's increasingly.
So of course, you got to treat a Zionist like a neo-Nazi, right?
You don't have a lot of time, so and I'm sure that we'll get to talk a little bit more in the future as well. But I went to Japan.
We don't have a lot of time, so let me kiss your ass and waste time is what he's doing.
You don't have a lot of time, so and I'm sure that we'll get to talk a little bit more in the future as well. But I went to Japan recently, and I got both of you guys gifts. I actually have another gift for you, but unfortunately I don't have your gift, the actual gift here. Hold on. This one's for you. This is a Palestinian movement in Japan.
Thank you.
Remind me, at this point, has she lied at the DNC? I believe she had already lied. She already contributed to the ongoing genocide of Palestinians by the U.S. through their Zionist proxy by claiming that the Biden-Harris administration was working tirelessly for a ceasefire. Someone correct me if I got the timeline wrong.
All there with Palestine, and this is a little train for public transit. I have a Japanese Communist Party pin for you. You don't have a lot of time.
He had a Chinese Communist Party pin for Bernie Sanders, who has explicitly, on a national stage, made the distinction between him being a democratic socialist, like the European countries, and rejecting socialism like the savage black and brown countries. Ugh. How dare you conflate those two? Ugh. He's a man of civilization. He was at a kibbutz. He helped to establish civilization in a backwards land, in an empty backwards land, right? And he got him a communist pin. Mind you, Hasan doesn't even consider himself to be a communist. So make that shit make any fucking sense. Any fucking sense. But again, just wasting time. And because, again, I like the receipts, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about with the kibbutz. I'll show you what I'm talking about right with the kibbutz. And then, yeah, here it is.
When I was a kid, I was in Israel for, I can't remember, 3 or 4 months, worked on several kibbutzim. I was very impressed by what I saw. I was very excited at the formation when I was a kid, the formation of the state of Israel. More than aware of the Holocaust, and which took people in my own family, and the horrible anti-Semitism that existed then exists today in America. So I'm proudly Jewish.
Again, connecting the settler colonial project to the Holocaust. Again, connecting the settler colonial project through the kibbutz, the kibbutzim. Bro, like, they were the settler outposts, the first ones. And he's proud of that shit. You've never seen Bernie smile like this. I challenge you to find a video of Bernie smiling, laughing like this. Some conquistador shit right there. It's fucking disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. All right. So, of course, the neo-Nazi stuff, right? Let's hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on our way to see Bernard Sanders, and we are going to be conducting a very short and sweet interview with Vermont Senator Bernard Sanders. Oh my God, it's
You can't make this shit up, bro. You cannot make this shit up. A Zionist of any tendency, right? A Zionist of any tendency. And look how fucking pathetic this guy is, watch.
Crazy.
I know, it's fine. We gotta get you on. You gotta
CNN.
It's good.
You're live for the record, so don't say anything.
I'm hype mugging.
You're hype mugging.
So again, being weird about this, acting like he's not about to be 40 years old, talking about mogging. What the fuck, bro? Act your age, bro. You're closer to this guy's fucking age than you are to the young kids saying mogging unironically.
Yeah.
How's CNN?
It's good.
You're live for
busy.
the record, so don't say anything crazy.
I know, it's fine. We gotta get you on. You gotta come on sometime. Yeah.
I'll do CNN. Clinton Newsom.
Yeah, I'll do CNN. Yeah, I guess I'll do CNN. Bro, Emma Vigeland won't stop fucking bragging about her CNN appearances. Fucking Sam Cedar, who was a contributor, a paid fucking contributor to MSNBC, again, won't stop bragging about being on CNN. It's all they want. It makes no fucking sense. He gets more viewers on his fucking Twitch chat than CNN could hope for, right? In that age demographic, they would fucking kill for that. And he still wants the legitimacy from CNN. He still wants that. They still need that shit. Because the same reason he lives in West Hollywood, for the same fucking reason, it's the status of it all. It's the status. Hasan Piker was recently dual streaming on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube is a larger platform. You can reach more people. I may not like him, but the reality is he would reach more people. But his numbers were going down on Twitch, and he's got more weight in Twitch. So he said, hey, I'm not doing YouTube streams anymore. I'm not dual streaming anymore. If your goal and objective is to reach as many people as possible and move them to the left, whatever the fuck that means, in his case, moving to the left of the left within the Democratic Party, which is nonsense, but nonetheless a sheepdog, just like his hero Bernie Sanders, a Zionist through and through. You would think that dual streaming on every fucking platform would be the solution. Don't get all high and mighty about, no, I don't want to dual stream on Kick. because it's a neo-Nazi. What? Twitch is owned by fucking Jeff Bezos. Bernie Sanders is calling that shit out. He should be fucking dual streaming everywhere if you have this large following. If you're going to devote your life to being a fucking streamer 24/7, at the very least, be everywhere.
We gotta get you on. You gotta come on sometime. Yeah.
I'll do CNN, Clinton News Network.
You got Bernie.
Bro. Like I said, I'm not judging y'all. I love Secession. I fucking love Secession. Amazing fucking show. The whole criticism of like, oh, it makes you sympathetic towards billionaires. No, it fucking doesn't. I was clapping every time they had a misfortune. I wanted the grimy, backstabby shit. This scene is like Secession through and through. Through and fucking through. Through and fucking through. Look how fucking gross this is, bro. I've never acted like this in my entire life because I'm fucking working class, fucking through and through working class. So I don't know how to behave like this. This is like some weird fucking Animal Planet shit right here. Like two parasites meeting and trying to negotiate how much they're gonna fucking suck the life force out of their host, and their host is the working class. Look at this shit, bro.
Yeah.
I'll do CNN, Clinton News Network.
You got Bernie today.
And he knows that he's a fucking sellout, that he's an opportunist. So he has to, he's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Remembers his life. Looks over at chat like if it's fucking The Office over here. Clinton News Network, am I right?
Yeah.
I'll do CNN, Clinton News Network.
Yo, jump at that chance, homie. Stop. I'm just joshing around, man. Two fucking white dudes over here being unbearable. Yes, I'm petty. I fucking hate these people through and through. And if you don't, what's wrong with you?
You got Bernie today.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's not the Clinton News Network anymore.
No.
Yeah. We got everybody. Yeah.
How many minutes do you...
And of course, homie's gotta fucking be a team player. Oh, we got Bernie today. We're no longer the Clinton News Network. No, we helped alongside MSNBC to enhance a Pied Piper strategy that Clinton was using to uplift Donald Trump above Bernie Sanders. Yes, we were showing live coverage of Donald Trump's empty podium while Bernie Sanders spoke. I mean, this is a session through and through. I love it. Love this shit. I hate them, but I love it, right? Look at this. And he has to defend the team, the home team. No, we're no longer that.
Clinton News Network anymore.
No.
We got everybody.
Yeah. Bro, I just don't even, this is what private school does to you. This is what private school does to a motherfucker, bro. It teaches you how to fucking pretend to be human. I can't fucking do this. Can you? Bro. Look, I can admit that I kind of had to be a little bit more professional when I became a shop steward. I was made fun of that. I was made fun of for doing that. But it's just like, all right, now I'm representing the union. I want as many people as possible to be comfortable, to be able to come to me if they need any guidance, assistance, or representation. So I got to pull back and stop being such a fucking maniac. I get that. I get it. Sometimes you got to do that. But this, bro, this is not for the working class. This is not for your fellow worker. This is a business opportunity. It is fucking gross. This is fucking gross. If this does not tell you everything that you need to know about these people, I don't know. And I struggle to call them people.
How many minutes do you have with them?
I don't know. It seemed I've gotten different answers from different people.
I've gotten different answers as well. If they give you longer than me, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Chatters are so.
Remember that. Remember that. Again, status. Who gets more time? Who's more legitimate? Who's seen as more valuable by Bernie and his people? Status. It's fucking disgusting. And look what he decides to do with his limited time. The microphone stuff, and you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta set up the okay. Not that. Look how he wastes his fucking time because this man's a fucking almost 40-year-old clown by choice. Multi-millionaire chooses to be a clown by choice.
All right. Right there. All right. So the last time we talked, it was at the oligarchy tour.
I remember it was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, in Nevada.
Yep.
And we didn't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time today, too. You're a very busy guy. You're
was already crying about the time. Doesn't have a lot of time again. Okay, how are we going to use this time to the most valuable possibility? How, Esme Exy? How? How will your hero, your revolutionary multimillionaire Nepo hero, use his valuable limited time with a Zionist, with a lifelong Zionist who reminisces about Golda Meir using chemical weapons on Palestinians in the West Bank? How will he use this valuable limited time? Because I'm so envious that I don't get to be in a room with a Zionist. Mind you, I could have made some phone calls, not through celebrity bullshit, but through union connections. LA is a small town.
You're all around the country. You're touring. You're going everywhere. And today you're going to be talking about taxing the billionaires, something that you're very fond of, something that you've been talking about for quite a while. And before we get started, last time I was supposed to give you a Japanese Communist Party pin that I got in Japan, and I still forgot to bring it today. So I'm instead going to give you, do you know what this is?
Nope.
An evil eye.
I mean, just why the need to kiss ass to this degree? What is the need to kiss ass to this fucking degree? To, yeah, a politician in general, sure. But to a fucking Zionist, on the record, lifelong Zionist. What need is there for that?
And so I'm going to give that to you. We say, in Turkey, we say nazar, which means like, you know, I'm having a hard time taking this off.
All right. Well, you give it to me later.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to use up the whole 5 minutes here getting your pin
You know
off.
what? You're right.
Bro told him, hey, can you stop being a fucking dumbass, get your nose out of my ass, and get to the questions? We don't have a lot of time. This was almost 40 years old, he's a Nepo baby into fucking the political realm, political commentating realm, and still does not know how to conduct himself for an interview. How does that happen? How inept are you that you still don't know how to conduct an interview? It is beyond pathetic. It is beyond pathetic. And the fact that these fucking white people, man, they could be so fucking horrible at what they do and still they're able to move up. And especially because we all know, everyone knows that Bernie does not fuck around. He doesn't put up with fools. And you could see it, bro. We're not going to do this. Bro, you can see him be like, pinche cabrón pendejo. Ah. You can see this shit, bro. Look.
Okay.
Still fondling his fucking pin over here. Look, utter lack of self-awareness. Complete. This is what happens when you're surrounded by yes man. This is what happens when you spend 365 days in front of your screen with the chat telling you you're amazing. Liberals are conservatives. Liberals are reactionaries. The fact they have to be explained that is ridiculous.
I'm having a hard time taking this off.
All right.
It's like a bit, bro. I sincerely wish he was this fucking like 4D chess hilarious, meta upon meta. I wish that he wrote out and he planned out, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna do a callback. I'm gonna do a callback and be like, oh, remember the last time I didn't give you a pin? Chucks, I forgot it again. Don't worry. And then does a fucking like Three Stooges bit. I mean, he should have really committed and then just either pull out some scissors and cut it off entirely or just tear it off. He doesn't wear the same shit. He always switches up his fucking clothing, right? You got to buy, you're a multi-billionaire. You can't be seen with the same fit every day. He should have just torn that shit off and commit to the bit. That would have been fucking hilarious. But it's not a bit. This is who he is. This is who he is. A decade as a political commentator and still cannot conduct a simple fucking interview, a 5-minute interview with a Zionist that, according to him, shouldn't even be a fucking dog catcher, much less a fucking senator.
Well, you give it to me later.
Okay. All right,
I don't want to use up the whole 5 minutes here getting your pin off.
You're right.
Bro was not having it. Look at him. Look at him. God damn, bro.
I'm afraid of like talking to people who are outside of my race.
Thank you for subscribing. Dakadoon in the Twitch chat. Bernie getting even redder, having to deal with Hasan for reals, bro. I mean, yeah, he is. It's fucking hilarious. All to give a Zionist a gift.
So, what are you doing in California?
Doing two things, both I think enormously important. Tonight I'll be speaking on this billionaire tax initiative that the unions are bringing forward, and I think it's enormously important. As I'm sure you know, never before in American history have we had the kind of income and wealth inequality that we have right now. Got to deal with that reality. You got 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 93%. You got one guy, Mr. Musk, one man owning more wealth than the bottom 53% of American households. Does that make sense to anybody? And meanwhile, under Trump,
it doesn't. It doesn't. And this is why we are socialists. This is why we're communists. This is why we're anarchists. But Bernie Sanders is like, no, we could have a couple millionaires. And we could tax our billionaires. That's why I'm a democratic socialist.
in order to give tax breaks to people who don't need it. That's why I'm here. Enough is enough.
Yeah. So there is one person, the governor of California, that is actually quite critical of the billionaire's tax. Do you have a message for Gavin Newsom?
No, he does what he does. He and I disagree on the issue. And that's about it.
Okay. All right. Fine. I am a...
What the... Bernie was in a debate for the presidency. Remember, not me, us. It wasn't about Bernie. It was about a political revolution for the people, by the people. Bernie was debating Joe Biden while his brain was rotting out from his ear. And Bernie was carrying him to the fucking finish line, being like, my good friend Joe, carrying his fucking corpse. My good friend Joe, to the fucking finish line. A softball after softball after softball. When asked, do you think you're the only one that can defeat Donald Trump? He said, no. I think Joe Biden can beat him. Oh, fuck, man. Political strategist, genius. So you think that he's going to talk shit about Gavin Newsom? If he's not willing to talk shit about his political opponent, about Biden, you think he was going to talk shit about Gavin Newsom when there's nothing in it for him? The presidency was in it for him if he doubled down, widened his stance, sat on his fucking punches, turned the fucking hips all the way through rotation, all the way fucking through, and got a fucking KO shot. Couldn't do it. Couldn't fucking do it to his good friend Joe. What the fuck makes you think that he's gonna talk shit about Gavin Newsom, who might be running for president, whose ass Bernie has to kiss next? It makes no fucking sense. I don't understand somebody who's became a multimillionaire by being a political commentator can be so fucking absent-minded to who Bernie Sanders is. How is that even fucking possible?
California that is actually quite critical of the billionaire's tax. Do you have a message for Gavin Newsom?
No, he does what he does. He and I disagree on the issue.
Let me see if I can find this clip on Twitter, because we miss a lot of disappointment, great disappointment from Hasan Piker. Still believing in Bernie Sanders is wild, even when you know he's a Zionist. I don't understand it. It's not me, bro. It is. That's why sometimes I'm like, oh, he's not stupid. He's just an opportunist. And other times I'm like, oh shit, like he's a man-child. He's a man-child. And the reason why people might say, oh, why are you devoting so much time and this and that? Bro, why are we covering the largest political streamer that claims to be on the left? Who uses Lenin's writing to support the Democratic Party? Some shit that Vosh, the pedo, did a decade ago almost. Here it is. Here it is.
So there is one person, the governor of California, that is actually quite critical of the billionaire's tax. Do you have a message for Gavin Newsom?
No, he does what he does.
So they're all going to cut off? They're all going to cut off? That's fucking hilarious. That is too funny if that's the case. Yeah, they all cut off. That's hilarious. Interesting. Yeah, they all cut off. That's fucking hilarious. Fuck it, let's watch it one more time, then we'll be good.
Quite critical of the billionaire's tax. Do you have a message for Gavin Newsom?
No, he does what he does. He and I disagree on the issue. And that's about it.
Okay. All right. Fine. I am a little bit more critical than you are, I guess, at least.
So you're not as nice a guy as I am. That's about it.
That's true. That's true. Exactly. So
oh, you don't kiss ass to the Democrats as much as I do. Yeah, that's true. I do kiss a lot of their ass, but just not quite to the same level. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Fucking pathetic, bro. Let's go over here.
And that's about it.
Okay. All right. Fine. I am a little bit more critical than you are, I guess, at least.
So you're not as nice a guy as I am. That's about it.
That's true. That's true. Exactly. What do you think about the movement that you've been a part of your whole life?
Also, horrible asking questions. Rambles like a motherfucker.
That has now grown in size and in popularity. 33% of the Democratic Party's base of support now are self-described Democratic Socialists. There have been electoral...
A Democratic Socialist, in reflection of a Bernie Sanders, makes you a National Socialist. Bernie Sanders was pushing National Socialism. He's a Zionist. It makes fucking sense.
Victories.
That's why he was praising Donald Trump's immigration enforcement. And then suddenly white people get killed and Bernie switched up. But that's what he was doing.
Well, Mamdani's victory in New York and Andalusia Mejia's victory.
I will say this, because XMXC or whatever is it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Cognitive dissonance is a motherfucker, bro. You're the ones on your high horse. You're the ones wagging your fingers. All you radlibs do is wag your fingers at reactionaries because you have no fucking bite. It's just all bark. That's all you fucking do. And so when socialists, communists, and anarchists point and laugh at you motherfuckers for being little fucking moderate fascists, you get offended. You get offended. Read a fucking book. I recommend. Short little speech. Kwame Ture, The Pitfalls of Liberalism. It ain't difficult. Read.
In New Jersey, extraordinary, and great candidates are running all over this country. So to answer your question, I feel very excited about that. And if you ask me why I am optimistic about the future, it is precisely because of great candidates who are coming up, who are prepared to take on the oligarchs. As you know, we did a fighting oligarchy tour, I think in 24 states, 350,000 people came out, not only Democrats.
For who? For the Democratic Party. For the Democratic Party.
The Democratic Party, there is this...
richer. People are saying enough is enough.
Do you feel like internally within the Democratic Party, there is this resistance from establishment Democrats towards this sort of change? I like to call it the left flank candidates.
Is that a serious question?
Yeah.
Translation, are you a fucking dumbass? Is that a serious question? Translation, are you a fucking dumbass? Why are you wasting my time asking me these questions? Oh, you couldn't get me to talk shit about Gavin Newsom, so now you're trying to fucking finesse it to where I talk shit about the entire Democratic Party. He's a sheepdog for the Democratic Party.
Are you asking, is there opposition?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course there's opposition.
Yeah.
He's laughing in your fucking face. A Zionist is laughing in your fucking face. Look at this. Look at this fucking idiot. This is what nepotism gets you.
Changed. I like to call it the left flank candidates.
Is that a serious question?
Yeah.
Are you asking, is there opposition?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean...
Yeah, of course there's opposition.
Yeah.
Of course.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, not the dry swallow, homie. I didn't even catch that. Look. Oh, he's so fucking pathetic, bro.
Asking, is there opposition?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course there's opposition.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, that's what the struggle is about.
God, bro, I had not seen that. No. Oh, the dry swallow. Fucking Marco Rubio over here, bro. Where's his water? The man's dehydrated. Help him out. My goodness, the Sahara over here. You dumb fuck. You useless, nepo, counterinsurgent propagandist. Stay home. Stay home with your fucking chat. God damn. You wonder why he never organized? You wonder why he can't stand having socialists and communists and anarchists in his chat and he needs only radlibs? He only needs fucking SOCNEMs, National Socialists, to garner more support for the fucking genocidal Democratic Party? Because he's a fucking fraud through and through. Look at this fucking shit. I didn't even... This is sadder than I thought.
Yeah, of course there's opposition.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, that's what the struggle is about.
I think it picked it up. I think it picked it up. Can you hear that? Can you hear the fucking dry swallow? Holy shit, man. Holy fucking shit. When you're such a fraud that the elite sheepdog herder, Bernie Sanders, this is unhealthy. Yes, motherfucker. Not making fun of opportunists that are misleading us into the arms of the fucking fascist light. The Democratic Party pulled off a genocide of Palestinians and this motherfucker voted for them in California. God damn. Bernie Sanders, sheepdog. But your boy can cover Assman gold for how long? No, I don't want that. I want the old school one. Yeah, 2015. That's the one I want. Here we go.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders sheepdogging for Hillary and the Democrats in 2016 from Bruce Dixon, Black Agenda Report. If you're not reading it, you're depending on white people too much. Ace, thank you for the super chat. I need you to do the 50-cent challenge to Hasan. If you can read one page of Blood in My Eye, homie, I'll donate 100 Twitch subs. Look, I don't even have enough money for 100 Twitch subs. That would be the major problem. But I mean, I've said this before. If we're talking about re-education camps, every Hasan fucking subscriber, every Hasan viewer, the pitfalls of liberalism, fucking Clockwork Orange style. Bernie just doing his job. Where are we at? The sheepdog is a card the Democratic Party plays every presidential primary season when there's no White House Democrat running for re-election. Spoiler alert, we have seen the Bernie Sanders show before and we know exactly how it ends. Bernie has zero likelihood of winning the Democratic nomination for president over Hillary Clinton. Bernie will lose. Hillary will win. When Bernie folds his tent in the summer of 2016, the money, the hopes, and prayers, the year of activist zeal that folks put behind Bernie Sanders either vanishes into thin air or directly benefits Hillary Clinton's campaign. Bernie was campaigning for her so fucking hard that he showed up to places she wouldn't dare go to. Don't believe us? Then believe Bernie himself. Interviewed by George Stephanopoulos on ABC's News on May 3rd. Stephanopoulos. So if you lose in this nomination, fight, will you support the Democratic nominee? Sanders, yes, I have in the past. Stephanopoulos, not going to run as an independent. Sanders, no, absolutely not. I've been very clear about that. An independent, politically, an independent chose to go and run into the Democratic Party, gets cheated out, objectively speaking, not a Bernie fucking supporter. He's a Zionist. He's a National Socialist. Saying, nope, I won't run as what I am, an independent. Bernie Sanders is this election's Democratic sheepdog. The sheepdog is the card the Democratic Party plays every presidential primary season when there's no White House Democrat running for re-election. The sheepdog is the presidential candidate running ostensibly to the left of the establishment Democrat to whom the billionaires will award the nomination. Sheepdogs are herders, and the sheepdog candidate is in charge with herding activists and voters back into the Democratic Party, either staying home or trying to build something outside the two-party box. Excuse me, I jumped the line here. Back into the Democratic Party, fold who might otherwise drift leftward or outside the Democratic Party, either staying home or trying to build something outside the two-party box. In 1984 and 88, the sheepdog candidate was Jesse Jackson. Oh shit, bro. I was trying to avoid this. I totally forgot he brings up Jesse Jackson as an example. Look, out of I don't even know how to word it. Admiration, respect to Dr. Ball, who somehow managed to have some constraint, but still be honest, which I admire. But this was, I promise you, this was not on purpose. If the story of Jesse Jackson covering himself in the blood of Martin Luther King Jr. and then running to the cameras, if that is true, that is fucking unforgivable. That is fucking unforgivable, and I'll just leave it at that. 1984 and 88, the sheepdog candidate was Jesse Jackson. In 92 was California Governor Jerry Brown. In 2000 and 2004, the designated sheepdog was Al Sharpton. And in 2008, it was Dennis Kucinich. This year, it's Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. The function of the sheepdog candidate is to give left activists and voters a reason, however illusionary, to believe there's a place of influence for them inside the Democratic Party. If and only if the eventual Democratic nominee can win in November. Here is a prime example of it. Bernie Sanders shows up California, Los Angeles, does not call out publicly our governor, does not apply any fucking pressure to him. Hasan wants it for a fucking clip, not because he has any true political beliefs. He just wants the clip. Doesn't get it. Brokenhearted. A Zionist laughs right in his fucking face, does the fucking dry swallow. He's parched. It's embarrassing. But we point and we laugh because we know who he works for. We know what he does. He misleads the masses, young, influential people, to supporting the genocidal Democratic Party. Bernie, his mentor, his teacher, his revolutionary hero. We've known about him since day one. This is insufficient for him to be critical of Bernie to his fucking face. But the fact that you bragged about holding every Zionist, whatever fucking flavor, whatever fucking category, just like Zohar Mamdani saying, hey, I'm going to have Zionists throughout the Zionist spectrum in my cabinet, in my administration. Hasan's like, oh, it's fine. They're just like neo-Nazis, except for Bernie Sanders. They're just like neo-Nazis, but I'm not going to ask Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez why she lied about Genocide Joe and Holocaust Harris working tirelessly for a ceasefire. They're just like neo-Nazis, unless I could get something out of them. The fucking clout. Esmexi, wow, it's so fucking pathetic that you think a multimillionaire works for the working class. That is amazing, bro. The colonized mind is something to admire. Despite casting millions of voters for the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and other sheepdogs, those leftist Democrat voters are always disregarded when Democrats actually win. Bill Clinton gave us NAFTA. The vicious welfare reform, no peace divided or push for DC statehood, lowered unemployment, but mostly in part-time and low-wage jobs, and mass incarceration of Black and brown people. President Obama doubled down on bailouts and banksters and GM, and immunized them from prosecution, but failed to address the most catastrophic fall in Black household wealth in history. That is not spoken enough about. That is not spoken enough about. Because a lot of people say, well, Barack Obama wasn't proactively representing the Black community. He was proactively harming them. And I'm talking like materially, not just the psychological damage of creating and Glenn Ford talks about this, a patriotic movement within the Black community. We got healthcare for some instead of Medicare for all. The Patriot Act renewed instead of repealed. A race to privatize public education, drone wars, and still more mass incarceration of Black and brown people. And if President Obama gets his way, we may soon have a global, job-destroying, wage-lowering NAFTA on steroids with the TTP and TTIP. Yeesh. That was too good, though. That was too fucking good. The sheepdog's job is to divert the energy and enthusiasm of activists a year and a half out from the November election, away from building an alternative to the Democratic Party and into his doomed effort. When the sheepdog inevitably folds in late spring or early summer before a November election, there's no time remaining to win ballot access for alternative parties or candidates. No time to raise money or organize any effective challenge to the two capitalist parties. And that's the reason why Bernie swore on his fucking hands and knees that he would not run as a third party. That's why. At that point, with all the alternatives foreclosed, the narrative shifts to the familiar lesser of two evils. Every sheepdog candidate surrenders the shreds of credibility to a Democratic nominee in time for the November election. Bernie has so much credibility that he managed to pull it off twice, back to fucking back. Something only a Zionist could fucking do. You gotta appreciate it. You gotta love it. All right, y'all. we're going to cover Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez. We'll do that tomorrow, short stream. I said only 2 hours. We're about to hit 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm trying to get better. I need to work on this AOC will destroy the left video that I'm trying to work on. Short streams moving forward. Essentially the book club, my apologies. We're wrapping that up. I'm going to start recording Open Veins in Latin America. And I want to put that out a la Socialism for All. Actually, let's move over here. Still laughing in his fucking face. Fucking hilarious, man. Gotta love this shit. Look, some growing pains. But I think I'm headed in the right direction. I cannot be beholden to the chat as much as fun as that is. You know, I just got to be true and honest to myself. So I appreciate all the support. I appreciate, man, just y'all showing up, sharing this, liking this, being busy in the chat. It's always fun. It's always a good time. If you think I'm doing it wrong, you know, my apologies, but this just feels right to focus my attention more on the edited videos, which again, shout out Justin Hunt, Hip Hop DX back in the day. Now he's just the company man. That was a big inspiration for me. I kind of went astray for a while and was becoming a kind of a disgusting fucking lifeless streamer, streaming 7 hours, 6 hours. I can't do that, y'all. I can't do that. And just, if you're not seeing Hasan Piker as a counterinsurgent propagandist, if him sitting across from a lifelong Zionist laughing in his fucking face, you are without hope and you are a fucking traitor to the working class. And may you be facing the same bricks that any class traitor faces. I appreciate y'all. Don't think I forgot. We got to do this. The Beast by John Trudell. Before we wrap up. I agree. No, James, that's what I'm saying. Edited videos last longer, reach more people more often, so you are on the right path. I think so. And I don't want to be a lifeless fucking loser like these individuals. I was already feeling it. I was feeling the creep. That ain't me. That ain't us. All right. We're going to talk the talk. We got to walk the walk. The Beast by John Trudell. In a wisp of smoke down on the corner, there was this cat named Fortunate Lee, talking at me from voices in his head, yelling about what storytellers said. You gotta be careful here, child. There's a beast in the promised land. There's madness you don't understand. The beast is crazed and running wild. Little boy, man, little girl, woman. No big deal, nothing personal. Your mind's another meal. Savoring the rush of you like heady wine. Feeding is what the beast is meant to do. Stranger are those walls built to hide. Stranger to look and learn not to see. He's in the mask you put on your face. Thought's his favorite breeding place. In the race to midnight, it's after 11. The nature of the beast is all he knows. Behind doors of hell are gates of heaven. Doors are open, but the gates are closed. I appreciate y'all and all the support. As Glenn Ford said, organize with eyes wide open. Yes, Estuvo.
I voted for Kamala Harris. You got a problem?
Thank you, Saturn.